This man right here SA'd over 1,000 Division I athletes. Over 90% of these players were football players, with 40% of them being black. And the thing about this man is he was never caught. He died and got away with it. And you're probably wondering how. I got you. Just peep game and lock in real quick. This man right here is Dr. Robert Anderson. From a very young age, Dr. Robert Anderson was very smart. When he graduated high school, he was class president, and 4 years later, he would graduate from the University of Michigan in 1950. Fast forward to the year 1968, he would become the director of health services at the University of Michigan. But to understand how he got away with it for so long, you have to understand the people he worked with. Dr. Robert Anderson worked with mostly football players. In America, football is seen as the toughest sport. Most Americans believe only the strongest and most masculine men can play the sport. So this evil man used that to his advantage. Before every season, Dr. Robertson would tell the football players that they need to come into his office for a physical. During this physical, he would do some things that a normal doctor would do, but then Dr. Robertson would assault these men for his own pleasure. This brave man right here is Tad DeLuca. In 1975, he wrote a letter to the athletic director, and he said something is wrong with Dr. Anderson. Regardless of what you go in there for, he makes you take off your underwear. Tad DeLuca was telling his story, and he went unheard. This right here is still Tad DeLuca, but this guy right here is Chuck Christian. 2 years after Tad DeLuca wrote the letter to the school, Chuck Christian would start playing football for the University of Michigan. Before his first season even started, Dr. Robert Anderson called him into his office and asked to perform a physical. During this physical, Dr. Robert Anderson assaulted Chuck Christian. While he was performing the physical on Chuck Christian, he told him to turn around and he put his finger somewhere they shouldn't have gone. Chuck Christian said it hurt so bad that he screamed. Chuck Christian was in so much shock that he talked to another rookie on his team, and the rookie said the same thing happened to him. This happened 4 times to Chuck Christian, 1 time before every season. The most heartbreaking part about his story is when he got older, he got really sick. When he got to the doctor, they told him they had to perform a prostate exam, and that test is similar to the things that Dr. Robert Anderson did to him, and he refused to do the test. Later, he would get very sick and find out that he had stage 3 prostate cancer. This cancer could have been found much earlier if Tad DeLuca's story was heard. Dr. Robert Anderson would end up dying in 2008, and he was never caught. Eventually, the University of Michigan would come to a $500 million settlement, but that's not enough justice for these two and the thousands of men who were taken advantage of. But that's the story on how this monster got away with it. If you're a guy and you feel like something similar has happened to you, tell your story. Men like this should never get away with it.